In the late 1800s, imperialist European nations gained control over much of Africa. Imperialism is the domination of one country's political, economic, or cultural life by another. European countries had been establishing colonies and building empires since the late 1400s. Imperialism brought wealth and power to Europeans. But the people living in colonies were often oppressed, abused, and in some cases, even killed.
In 40 years, Europe gobbled up virtually all of Africa south of the Sahara. It happened with tremendous speed, with tremendous brutality. The purpose of this conquest, like most conquests in history, was to make money for the conquerors, and they did so hand over fist and killed millions of people in the process.
Most Europeans thought colonization was essentially a noble undertaking. After all, they said, Europeans had strong economies, well-organized governments, and powerful armies and navies. Meanwhile, African nations were troubled by economic weakness and political divisions. The transatlantic slave trade, which did not end until the 1800s, had drastically reduced the populations of African societies. The slave trade had also contributed to intertribal warfare. European power was fueled by the technology of the Industrial Revolution. New weapons and steam-powered locomotives and ships gave Europeans the ability to move quickly and fight wars with brutal efficiency. European manufacturers wanted access to natural resources such as rubber and petroleum. African colonies could also serve as vital ports for European merchant and naval ships. European missionaries urged Africans to give up their traditional beliefs and accept Western ways and religion. Missionaries opened hospitals and schools throughout the colonies. Sometimes they also furthered the political and economic goals of imperialist nations. Many Europeans exploited and oppressed native Africans. Some of the worst oppression occurred in the Congo. King Leopold and other wealthy Belgians exploited the land and people of the Congo. African laborers were forced to harvest ivory and rubber. Conditions were so horrible that the populations of some areas declined drastically. Belgian exploitation of the Congo set off a scramble for colonies. Britain, France, and Germany rushed to make claims in the region. But Joseph Conrad, a British seaman, witnessed the horrors of imperialism in Africa and was moved to write a novel about the dark side of imperialism. Conrad's novel, Heart of Darkness, is a story of a journey up a great river, deep into the Belgian Congo. A businessman named Marlowe is sent into the Congo to discover what has happened to a riverboat station chief named Kurtz. When Marlowe finally finds Kurtz, he is horrified by what he sees. Kurtz has gone insane. He has set himself up as a kind of pagan god. He demands total obedience, and his reign brings death to the jungle. Conrad's novel brought the horrors of imperialism to life for European readers, but it did not end the scramble for colonies. By the early 1900s, only Liberia and Ethiopia had resisted European colonization. For the rest of Africa, there lay ahead a long and difficult struggle for independence.